So I talk a lot about how cool water is, but what do you know about light? It's a huge part of our daily lives, and yet we know so little about it. Today we're going to play with light. We're going to bend it, and that's called refraction. So when you hear of refract or refraction, just think of bending light. So you can see that the straw is pretty straight. I can't just break it. But what happens when we put it in the water? Well, it looks like it's broken. It looks like it should go here, and then the one in the water looks like it should go here. It doesn't continue the way that you think it should. And how does this work? Well, light is coming from a light source, either from the sun, a lamp, or any light that's near you, and it's hitting the object, which would be the straw. When we look at the top part of the straw, we're just looking at it straightly through the air, so the light is coming straight at us, and we can see exactly where it is. But because of the water, the light has to travel through the water, and it gets slightly bent. So instead of coming straight at me, it's coming a little bit over. So to me, it looks like the straw is over here. Now let's see what the water does to these two arrows. You can clearly see that the blue one on top is pointing to the left, and the red one on the bottom is pointing to the right. But now it looks like the red one is pointing to the left, and the blue one is now pointing to the right. So because the shape of the glass is bending light to a specific point, the focal point, it's being bent here, and now everything's going across. So light is going straight until it hits the water, and then it's being bent. So instead of going straight this way, everything's being bent to kind of go the opposite direction. And that's why these two arrows look like they're pointing in the opposite direction. The light is being bent to go in the different direction. But why does light bend going from air to water? Well, let's talk about that. To explain this, think of yourself running at the beach. Now, when you're running towards the water, you're just moving through air. It's pretty easy to just move through air. But once you hit the water, now try moving through water. It's a lot more difficult. It's almost impossible to run in the water. And that changes your journey. That changes your speed and your direction. And the same thing happens to light. When light is traveling through air, it travels pretty quickly and pretty straight. Once it hits that water, the journey changes. It slows down. It can be bent and head to a completely separate direction than it was before. And this is called refraction, when light is bent because it hit the air and the water. You can find part of this experiment at whatdowedoallday.com, and there will be a link down in the description below. And here are two lines, a red one and a blue one. Let's see what the water does to these. Well, you can see that it's making them a lot bigger, a lot thicker. Now, the water is acting like a magnifying glass because of the shape of the glass. Because it's round, it refracts, or bends, the light toward the center. That way the light comes together at a point, the focal point, and anything beyond this point, which in this case are the lines, and anything behind that focal point, it will look larger. And this is how nearsighted glasses work. And this jar makes things look even bigger in the water, because even though it's still round, it's a bigger, rounder shape. So it's bringing even more light into that center focal point, so things look even bigger. Let's try one more cup. What will this glass do to these two lines? See, it does the same, it does make them bigger, but you can see as I put the lines closer to the edge, they become bigger, right where the glass goes around, because the light is actually bending around the glass. And you have to remember, that's what we're seeing. The light bouncing off the object, which is these two lines. But let's go even farther down. Can you see how the lines are being bent again? The lines are being bent right here. Because the glass shape has changed, the bending of the light will change. And then we go all the way down to the stem. And even though this isn't water, this is still a very thick glass, and it's still harder for the light to move through, so the light will still be bent. See, light can be so fascinating too. So this week, instead of a godly metaphor, I wanted to give you a little bit of homework. I wanted you to go out and observe your world. Look at all these things that you see happening around you all the time and actually think about how it's happening. Things that we have in our daily lives, like water and light, they seem so simple because we're around them all the time, but really their complexity makes them so fascinating. So go out there, observe, have fun, use your imagination, and until next time, bye! And your other homework is to help me educate our world. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you want to see in the future.